Our final segment concerns new efforts to alter the natural world to serve human desires and interests. The Daily Beast headline of March 28th read as follows: Cat Allergies Begone. A hypoallergenic cat is closer than you think. The article reports that InBio, a biotech company, has crossed an important CRISPR threshold. CRISPR, C-R-I-S-P-R, which stands for Clustered Regularly Interspaced Short Palindromic Repeats, is a gene editing technology. Biotech company InBio is using this gene editing technique in an effort to make cats less likely to cause allergies in humans. The periodical Interesting Engineering also covered this development in an article titled Allergy-free Cats? A New CRISPR Method Might Have Answers. Just to be clear, the article title is a bit ambiguous. In reality, the technology is not designed to reduce allergies in cats. It is designed to reduce allergies in humans in response to cats. At any rate, the report notes that approximately 10 to 20% of people are allergic to cats worldwide, with the incidence in some areas reaching 30%. And the Daily Beast report notes that 95% of allergies to cats are caused by exposure to a protein in cat saliva, FeLD1. Because cats repeatedly clean themselves with their tongues, and because the protein is secreted from sweat glands as well, the protein ends up on their skin and fur, and thus ends up easily available for humans to become exposed. According to Interesting Engineering, the researchers first analyzed the DNA of 50 cats, and in doing so found 2 genes involved in producing FeLD1. They then studied 8 other wild cat species to see if the genes were widely present. Finding they were not, the researchers inferred that the gene must not be essential for domestic cats' survival. They closed their analysis by editing the gene out of cat cells in the lab and found that doing so did block production of FeLD1 and did not lead to other genetic changes in the areas they checked. Consequently, the researchers deemed this a promising approach, and according to Interesting Engineering, they plan to move on in their quest to genetically engineer a hypoallergenic cat. This development is sociologically illuminating about how we see non-human animals and how we see ourselves. We begin with the reasoning that is part of the foundation of this line of work, but before returning to those implications, we must acknowledge that cat allergies can range from mild to severe. Further, cat allergies are associated with the incidence of asthma. For some people, living with the allergies simply requires them to close their homes to cats. Others may be far more sensitive. The result? The most extreme possibility is for exposure to the allergen to lead to anaphylactic shock, a life-threatening result. Consequently, although relatively few people go into shock owing to cat allergies, it is an important matter not to trivialize the condition. As we turn our attention to the implications of the prospect of genetically modified cats, we need to begin by considering the reasoning that is reported to be part of the foundation of the continuation of the research. The researchers inference that because they find some feline species without the gene is not important for domestic cat survival. This reasoning is specious because different species genetics may produce the same outcome with different approaches. It may be that this gene is responsible for something in domestic cats that some other gene takes responsibility for in some other feline species. Consequently, absence of the gene in some feline species does not mean the gene is not important for domestic cats. So why draw the inference? Fortunately, the researchers did not draw this inference. They simply stated that the finding may mean that the gene is unimportant. More research is needed. But the popular news report suggests certainty. So this observation goes into the general category of don't take popular reports of scientific research at face value. Here, though, the popular report reflects and reinforces the idea that other living beings are objects that humans may treat as they so desire. How is this idea manifest? Well, note that one big selling point of CRISPR is the possibility of new medical advances to treat diseases that have a genetic component. CRISPR is, therefore, in the service of medical care. And typically, medical care is sought to improve the health of the one being treated. In this case, however, the treatment is purely for the benefit of humans. The cats are just objects that some humans want to alter. Benefiting cats is not the aim. Benefiting humans is. Now, you could say that making it impossible, that is to say, making it possible for allergy-suffering cat lovers to adopt more cats, or at least one cat, does benefit cats by increasing the number of homes into which their kind may be adopted. But the researchers are not justifying their work as an effort to increase the number of cat adoptions. Their stated goal is to decrease the discomfort and risk to humans. Additional cat adoptions is just a potential ancillary outcome. What differentiates other medical treatments, such as spaying and neutering, from genetic modification and protein suppression technologies is that while spaying and neutering may benefit other cats, and it may benefit humans, the primary beneficiary of the surgeries is arguably the cat who undergoes them, because spayed and neutered cats live about 4 years longer than other cats. This increase in life expectancy is, in part, owing to reduced risk for certain cancers. Because genetically modifying cats or otherwise suppressing the production of the protein is primarily to increase some humans' comfort and safety, this technology surreptitiously reinforces the idea that cats are objects, despite its basis in feelings of love or care. Now, you might say that's interesting, but how can a proposal to genetically modify cats say anything about humans see each other? Well, one way this proposal conveys something about how we see each other begins with considering that this technology is being imposed on a non-human animal that cannot voice their resistance, and in service not to them, but to others. Yet, far milder interventions humans might ask of each other do not prevent anyone from saying no. A perfect example of this point is evident in how challenging it has been for public health officials to make the case that getting vaccinated in general, and getting the COVID vaccine in particular, is both good for the person being vaccinated and good for everyone else, including and especially those unable to get vaccinated for health reasons. Because few vaccines are perfect, even the vaccinated can benefit when other people get vaccinated by lowering the likelihood of exposure to the pathogen. The social logic that allows humans to reject low-risk treatments that can save others is essentially a perspective that privileges the bodily autonomy of individuals. In other words, you get to decide for yourself what treatments you will and will not allow, and everyone else has the same ability, especially if the reason for that treatment is based in an idea of helping other people rather than yourself. This view sees each person as of intrinsic value and nearly supreme authority over their own bodies. That social logic has not only not been extended to cats, this technology is an extreme rejection of that social logic for cats, for it promises to expose them to dangers and transformations they cannot select or reject, and transformations of which they themselves are not the focal beneficiaries. When I first heard of CRISPR from then Berkeley sociology graduate student Santiago Molina, and learned that one way it may be administered is in a drink, the first thing I thought was, this is a weapon, because it can be designed to target and alter specific DNA elements of living beings. Once the altering code is introduced and changes are made, those changes propagate through the body as the new cells reproduce and replace the human cells that die every day. Often CRISPR produces side effects, but an opponent could design an edit that is meant to kill or incapacitate, either harm the entire body, the brain, or other organs. Splicing out the two genes that cause the production of FELD1 seems a long way from weaponizing CRISPR. And editing cats' DNA may seem to some an issue for cats alone, or perhaps for cats and the people who, but for an allergic reaction, would heartily embrace them. I agree it is certainly an issue for cats and cat lovers with allergies to cats. But look at the power of this technology. The prospect of genetically modifying cats poses a deeper question. What do we do with this powerful ability to alter the genes of those with whom we share the planet? Is mere human desire, comfort, or safety enough to justify such fundamental intervention in other species? What limits are we going to impose and respect, if any? In whose interests will limits be imposed? Only humans? Only some humans? All humans? Each question uses different words to point to the pivotal concern, the pivotal question. Do we have the wisdom to deepen our intervention in the very process of evolution? And more pointedly, do those who possess the training, experience, infrastructure, and financial wherewithal to deepen our intervention in evolution have the wisdom to determine when and whether they should do so, instead of simply whether they think they can? The prospect of genetically modifying cats for human allergy relief suggests certain answers to these questions. Even as we must acknowledge the physical and emotional pain such allergies may cause, those answers are still hardly reassuring. That's This Week in Sociological Perspective. We'll be back next week with another interview with an author of some important sociological research and more sociological insights on an issue in the news. Till then, take care.